Hi guys, this is Justin Holtz, and today I'm going to guide you through how you can save for your kid's college education. It's the same plan my wife and I created to pay for our daughter's college. Many families I work with are worried about how they're going to save for retirement and put their kids through college. Nowadays, student loans are the largest type of consumer debt outstanding other than mortgages. The average student loan borrower graduates with nearly $30,000 in debt, and repaying those student loans can be a significant hurdle. Now look, all parents know that having a child is an incredible experience filled with emotion. After that initial joy and happiness comes the overwhelming desire to protect and provide for your kid. Putting money aside for their education is one of the most important advantages that you can provide for them. But first, you're going to need to lay the groundwork. Your financial situation will determine the amount of resources that you can dedicate to education funding. And it's usually a balancing act with your other priorities. But before looking at any of the numbers, you might consider the following question. How do you feel about funding this expense? Do you want to fund 100% or as much as your situation permits? Or do you want your child to be responsible for paying part of their own way? There's no right or wrong answer here. It's preference and it's what your resources will allow. It's important to remember that this process is part of the bigger picture, your financial plan. And that requires allocating resources for living expenses, retirement savings, other mid- and long-term goals alongside your education savings. The general rule of thought is to allocate a minimum of 15% towards retirement and long-term goals prior to funding your education accounts. Although understandably so, parents typically want to prioritize the needs of their children and put them ahead of their own. In this situation, we recommend placing a set time period, preferably a shorter term, for education contributions to take priority in your plan. Now we live in Virginia, and we're going to be using the 529 plan as the funding vehicle to make our investments. 529 plans may offer favorable tax treatment. Our investment contributions are made on an after-tax basis, and they grow tax-free when used for qualified college education expenses. Next, we want to evaluate the cost. Let's look at the numbers. As of 2018, the average cost of tuition and fees for an in-state four-year education at a public university was a little over $21,000. Thankfully, in recent years, the cost has been increasing at a slower pace, the smallest current dollar increases since the mid-1970s. So while inflation on education costs has been tame in the past few years, it has historically risen at a higher rate. For our purposes, let's assume a 4% rate in our calculations. We can always change or adjust this, and it's wise to look at various scenarios. This means for a child born in 2019 and looking to start school in 2037, the total cost of education is going to be around $183,000, including inflation during the 4 college years. This will be the cost from which we base our planning efforts. So how are we going to fund this? In this scenario, we have 18 years to save a little over $183,000. It's a lot of money to save outside of living expenses, retirement, other savings goals. Luckily, we have a few options. It's also important to remember this is a best efforts approach determined by your current resources and some of your other goals. Let's look at periodic contributions first. By saving $338 a month until the first year of school and earning 8% annually on our investments, we'll manage 100% of our education expense goal. Your total contributions over that period will be $73,000. Next, we want to look at funding today with a lump sum contribution. By investing $41,111 today and earning 8% annually, we'll manage 100% of our education expense goal. By comparison, the net investment for this option is more than $30,000 less. However, like many families, we don't have an extra $41,000 laying around at the moment. So we decided to use a combination of the two approaches. Our goal is to set aside $10,000 in each of the first 2 years, and then $5,000 a year for the next 6. That gives us a total funding period of 8 years, and if we're able to manage our 8% growth rate over the next 18 years, our investment will grow to approximately $172,000. It gets us pretty close to where we want to be, and with this approach, our net investment would be $50,000 for education savings. So how can we get started today? If this seems overwhelming or ambitious, please keep in mind this is a starting point. As time goes on, we're going to reevaluate the plan and make changes as needed. Over time, many of our financial situations will change for the better and some for the worse. As all parents quickly learn, we need to be flexible and make adjustments as changes occur and just do the best that we can every day. If you can't start with a large amount up front, it doesn't mean you won't be able to make more significant contributions to the account later on. And remember, there are other resources available for college funding. Scholarships, grants, and loans all exist to help students pay for their education. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts, planning strategies, and success stories. What's worked well for your family? If you'd like to talk about your college funding plan or your retirement needs, please reach out and schedule a call. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.